Afternoon, West in the world, and welcome to your pre-Easter review video for the week of April 15 and 17. Our two lectures this week have centered on events that take place in the immediate aftermath of World War II. That is the onset of the Cold War and the beginnings of the process of global decolonization, that is the deconstruction of those old 19th century European empires. Both events, we learned, are intimately tied up in the way in which World War II draws to a close. The emergence of two new superpowers, the United States and the Soviet Union, and the diminishment of the world's old imperial powers, Britain and France, and to a lesser extent states like Belgium and Portugal. The onset of the Cold War is, of course, largely an internal affair to the state of the Western world. And what we try to emphasize is that it is about much more than just a political or an ideological struggle, but very much penetrates into the basic sort of understanding of life and social operation of Western society. Nothing encapsulates those feelings more acutely, of course, than the nuclear arms race and the way in which this sort of spreads fear widely as people face the reality of living in a world where the entire human population could be wiped out many times over by weapons and the controls of these two rivals. Decolonization, on the other hand, is a process that plays out on a much more global scale. That this is also tied up in World War II and in Cold War dynamics. But has a lot more to do with the sort of illegitimacy of empire in a post-Nazi, post-World War II era. That for the very reasons that Nazism had been condemned, its denial of democratic rights and its treatment of some people as inferior, so European empire also begins to unravel. It begins, of course, in places like India, the old centerpiece, crown jewel of the British Empire, and spreads from there throughout the African continent, across South Asia. What we learned today was that this plays out in a variety of different ways. That in some places it means incredibly violent processes of decolonization that leave things still, perhaps to this day, unsettled. Palestine was a good example of this. The problem in Algeria of the ongoing presence of European settlers, the so-called colons, is a big part of the problem. And then, of course, Cold War dynamics spread some of this violence in fears about the spread of communism and the ways that leads America to intervene in Vietnam and elsewhere. Not all of them, we said, were like this. The case of India, the case of many West African and other states around Africa. We talked about Ghana here, but we could come up with a number of other examples. And what we said is that many of these states would hope that the attainment of political independence is equivalent to the onset of an age of prosperity and general health and well-being for their peoples, but that we saw that that's not the case in many of these situations, that the lingering legacies of colonialism in vulnerable economies and wedges of internal division that have been created in a legacy of one-party state rule have created this phenomenon that we call neo-colonialism, the problem of continued dependency well after formal colonial rule had come to its end. That's it for this week. Hope you guys enjoy your Easter break, and we'll look forward to wrapping up our business next week.